Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1 and welcome to Boots on the Ground and News You Should Know. If you have anything that personally that you're seeing in your job or in your life, please send it to Southern Prepper 1, Southern Prepper 1, number 1, at yahoo.com. I personally did not watch the Republicans in the debate, so I will not even be covering that at all. Also, T-Mobile announced that they will be laying off about 7% of their workforce, and this is about 5,000 jobs. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention stated Wednesday that the new COVID-19 variants may cause infection in people who received the vaccines or previously had the virus. They say it's too soon to know whether this might cause more severe illness compared to previous variants. But I hope you're preparing for another lockdown. I hope you're preparing to deal with masking. I think it's going to be a fiasco, and I don't think the American people are personally mentally ready for any more of this problem. Dollar Tree shares got whacked, and this is because they did not meet their expectations. They had larger losses than planned. Some of these losses, they said, were caused by shoplifting. A lot of stores are feeling the shoplifting effect. And it's just going to add to the problem because a lot of people are not spending money. I will personally vouch for this. I talked to a shop owner that owns a gun store and locally, and he said 30 to 40% sales are off from last month. This was actually a guy that works for his store and not the actual owner itself. But they are seeing a huge drop in sales. Now, they typically say this is the time they do have their worst part of the year, summertime. People are vacationing. People are going back to school. He says it should pick up for hunting season. So when hunting season arrives in a few months, this will be a good indicator. If it's still slow during the hunting season, then this is going to be a very, very bad year for a lot of gun stores. So far in 2023, over 400 corporations have filed for bankruptcy. This is huge compared to other years, and it's just increasing. If you've been checking out home prices, they are sky high and they're increasing. So this is forcing builders to continue to work. They're building smaller homes so they can bring the price down so people can afford it. The average house in size has actually decreased about 10% nationally to 2,420 square feet. That's a pretty big house. In 1970s, the average size of the house was 1,500. So we have gone from 1,500 square feet up to 2,400 square feet. The Teamsters did vote, I think 86%, to approve the contract between them and the UPS. So this is definitely going to be no strike. UPS workers got a pretty good benefit and pay package out of that deal. I reported that Dick's Sporting Goods and Macy's shares crashed. Another one that just came out also was Foot Locker. Their shares plunged. They did not meet their expectations for earnings. Peloton also had a 24% revenue crash. They had a huge recall, and that's costing them more money. This is from Charlotte. A Pennsylvania-based company is going to lay off 96 workers in Raleigh. They lost their contract with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. This is from one of our viewers. I had a wonderful realtor sell my house while I was, she was out of town. The house was in Texas and she was many states away. They did close on it. She said, I could not have handled this after the sudden death of my husband. She made it very easy, and that's the realtor, as possible. She even through the sale and after the sale became my friend. She called me Monday. I asked her how her other sales were going. She said that in the past year she would have at least 50% more sales and listing by this time of the year. She said people are nervous about the economy and about 7.5% interest rates. So as the interest rates climb, and I believe they will climb even higher if the Federal Reserve keeps on their trend, and this will kill the housing markets even more. This person said it's been extremely hot in northwest Arkansas the last few weeks. My husband is diagnosed with some diseases that he needs the air conditioner to help him get by. Yesterday, I received an email notice from our power company stating that electricity supply isn't going to be a shortage of it, and it may occur in the next week. So to conserve your power. She was wondering, she's lived there a long time, and she's gone through a lot of weather and bad weather, cold weather, and has never really received this notice from the power company. So she was wondering if other people are receiving these notices to conserve electricity. Now, being there for 11 years, there's been a huge growth in my area. So I think power companies haven't really increased their productivity. They haven't increased their network of poles and wires. And as we add more and more housing, more and more subdivisions, it's just putting a bigger load on the existing system. So I think we're going to have to spend a lot of money to upgrade the power system and to meet demand of our growing areas. This person said, I've been buying water from a bulk water dispenser at Walmart for years. It's been 39 cents a gallon. It is now 46 cents a gallon. Now, that's only 7 cents. But that's, if you take the huge percentage of that, that's inflation. They're saying we buy several of these 5 gallons at a time. So even 7 cents a gallon, that's inflation from 39 to 46. Me and my wife both work in nursing, and they're on the West Coast, somewhere on the West Coast, one of the states. Today, we got a call from a fellow nurse telling me that my wife's hospital university district, Peace Health, is closing on November 1st. The whole hospital, rehabilitation, medical floor, emergency department, everything. That is the only emergency room in our town. Just yards away from the state college at the start of the new school year. The danger and risk to the general population and to those students to shut down this location is so irresponsible it borders on insanity. Our employer told us they plan to bring everyone over to the hospital a town over. So they might not be able to do this because they don't have a lot of seniority, so it's going to go off of seniority. So they are very worried that they are going to get hit for sure with a 50% reduction at best in a matter of months. And it could get worse if they're both let go. And they just want people to know this could happen anywhere to anyone. So just be ready. Be ready mentally, be ready physically, and have your financial house in order. This other subscriber, viewer, I work in a level 1 trauma hospital. There's a set of 4 supply and patient transport elevators I have always used to get upstairs to my unit. It is now 6 weeks, and 2 of these elevators have been out of order, and the sign remains out of order. I've never, in over 20 years of working here, seen any elevator out of service for this long of a time. She said, things are falling apart. We regularly work short staff, and we're very short on nurses. And no one is taking the jobs because they have vacancies, but they can't find anyone to fill them. This is from Raleigh, North Carolina. My mom's primary care doctor and facility she's been going to for over 15 years. Their doctor's retiring, so they're going to have to find a new doctor. And they're just wanting, if they're going to get another good doctor, a caring doctor, an honest doctor. And those are hard to find nowadays. And every time a doctor or a medical person leaves the field, retires, or just gets burned out, it does affect the whole system. That's how short we are in the medical field. This is from the Brics Nation. And they're meeting right now. And basically, they're trying to form a group that would counter the United States dollar and Western influences and developing nations. They did say that they're going to accept Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. They have been formally invited to become members. And very shortly, they're going to add also Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Iran. Now, it's going to take many, many, many years, I feel, to really get this system to counter the U.S. petrodollar. Just because all these countries are different, they're going to have to work out a lot of problems. But I think the biggest problem right now that I am seeing is just individual countries deciding not to use the petrodollar, and they're deciding on what currency to use. Usually it's their own currency, and what the exchange rate will be and how much they're going to buy. And this is just as big as anything the Brics nation's doing. It's getting the world not to need the dollar. And as soon as the world doesn't need the dollar, we're going to see hyperinflation inside the United States as all that money comes rushing back to the United States because it's not needed. You physically, before this, actually had to have the money, physical money, to make the transaction to buy oil. A side note, every minute we are now $1.5 million in debt. $1.5 million every minute that we have to borrow. We are physically borrowing that much money to keep going. If you've been following the immigration problems, they are just flowing through this country. Our border is wide open, and the mayor of New York City, Adams, is trying to get the governor of New York to help out. They've already, I think, have 1,800 members of their National Guard helping support the city-run shelters. And they said that they're going to spend $12 billion over the next 3 years. They're getting hundreds of thousands of immigrants that are homeless, and they're trying to make shelters for them. I feel very, very bad for the people that are paying this bill, and this would be New York City, and they eventually is going to be the state of New York, and ultimately it will be the United States that will have to pick up the tab for a huge amount of inflow of people coming into this country. I hope they can figure this out. I hope the border can be closed until we can take care of our own people, Americans that are in here legally. Thanks for watching.